Hello, I'm Harry Stachini and you are listening to the Staff Room Podcast, the show where each week I share anonymous stories from teachers who are overworked, underpaid and close to a mental breakdown. So think of it as teacher therapy, as they remind us of all the troublemakers, class clowns and the flat-out criminals we all remember from school. So join me and my guests and hear what your teachers really have to say. We're off, episode number 11 of the Staff Room Podcast. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all right. Thank you very much for tuning in. I mean, apologies for last week. I know I let you down because there was no episode, but I wasn't feeling very well, right? I was a bit run down. I thought I might have had COVID for the second time. I felt that rough and took a test, didn't have COVID, but I thought I'm in no fit state to produce a podcast episode this week. I mean, it felt like I had a hangover, but just none of the self-inflicted fun at the start of it. You know, it was just rare for me not to go into work because I feel that bad. And it started on the Friday, dragged across the weekend, which was my girlfriend's birthday weekend. I wasn't much fun for that. We were meant to go and have a look at a crashed plane on Sunday, because that's what you do when you celebrate a birthday. You go and look at a historical landmark together. And I felt crummy, so we ended up just having a walk around Chorlton Water Park and feeling a bit sorry for myself. But yeah, it carried on across the weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, I was in no fit state to go into work. And Wednesday, I thought, you know what? I feel like I might be able to do this. And I lasted all of an hour and a half as I sat next to the noise box that is the young lad that I work with. And I cannot tell you the thoughts that were going through my head, because it was absolutely pounding, but so was his voice, and something had to give. And that was me going home instead of, someone dying. A bit extreme, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying I felt crummy. But thank you very much for everyone that actually sent me a few messages to say, I hope you're all right. I mean, I think because I just said I felt a bit run down, I think that opened it up to many different possibilities. Some people thought I might have been, like, how are you all right, or are you with someone? I was like, yeah, I just feel crummy. I'm not like, on the edge of life. But I appreciate the messages nonetheless. But feeling much sprightly this week and back at it. And it's worked out because, the day I went back into work, which is Thursday last week, I actually recorded this episode that I've got for you today. And it's a cracker. My guest is Chris Washington for today's episode. And a fantastic comedian, someone that I've known for a few years, but really got to familiar with around 2017, when we were both up at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and doing separate shows. But Chris was up there doing his debut hour, which the show was called Dream Big Within Reason. And he went up there having saved up all his holiday as a postman, used it all for the Fringe. He had no agent, no PR, but a very, very good show. And off the back of it, he was nominated for the Best Newcomer Award, which is a very prestigious award to be, nominated for. And soon as you're kind of catching the eyes of the judges that look after the festival up there, it starts to open up a few doors for you. And from that, he's had some very, very well-deserved success. I mean, in the past few years, he's appeared on Mock the Week, he's appeared on Stand Up for Live Comedy, he was most recently on the Stand Up sketch show on ITV, and has even headlined his own Live from the BBC, which was on their iPlayer. It might still be there now, it's great, but the show that's on the iPlayer is the show that he did from Edinburgh. I'm fairly sure that is right, because I watched the show in Edinburgh and it was great. I mean, Edinburgh, if you've ever been to the festival, can be a mixed bag, because a lot of the comedy there can almost feel a bit like theatre, because it tends to be like quite a long story. There seems to be a bit of an emotional dip, and then like there's a message to it. But Chris's show wasn't necessarily that. When I went to go and watch it, I remember it being just an hour of funny stories, which had a real good feel-good factor to it, and really enjoyable. But I suppose, yeah, it did have a bit of a message to it, because it was called Dream Big Within Reason. And, effectively, he won the lottery when he was up there. But it was just a very good feel-good show and funny. And that's the main thing, which sometimes with Edinburgh, especially with comedy, it can be a little bit more theatre than jokes. And any comedians listening, and I imagine they'll be going, yeah, I realise that, but you'd be very surprised at the comedians that can do very well in Edinburgh, but when put in, Frog and Bucket or the Comedy Store on a Friday, Saturday night, it's a different kettle of fish altogether, because club comedy is very, very different to Edinburgh. But if you've not been to the Fringe, I would say go and have a look, and then nip down to your local comedy club on the weekend, and you'll be able to see the difference very, very easily. But yeah, Chris is my guest for today. That is what I'm telling you, and I'm absolutely buzzing to have him on the show. We had a right old chat within this episode. I mean, my favourite bit is kind of chatting to the guests and hearing about their school days. And Chris was someone at school that was the class clown. I mean, he got 3 GCSEs, and that's impressive. I mean, one was in food tech, which makes sense because after he finished school, he ended up working in a pub full time, pretty much, and actually did his work experience as well at school as a dinner lady, which is perfect because the story that I've actually got for you today has come in from a dinner man, and Chris and the person that sent this story in are the only 2 males that I've ever known to work in a school canteen. I mean, I thought that was an area that was just dominated by women. I've never seen a man step foot in there. I've seen a man drop deliveries off at the door, but never actually go into the kitchen. But yeah, Chris is someone that is, he's been the other side of the curtain. He's seen that, the counter, should I say, not the curtain. And the story that I've got for you today has come in from a dinner man, and it's a cracker. I mean, it's just an eye-opener for anyone. But especially, I think Chris was surprised that there was someone else that was like him that had worked in a school canteen as a dinner man. Just let that sink in for a second, because if you're listening to this and you had a dinner man at your school, that is not normal, right? Because if I saw a dinner man at my school, I wouldn't want to take food off him. That's just me. I wouldn't trust him. I'd be like, why are you here, right? What has gone wrong for you to be here? Because what I should be looking at is someone called Bev or Sharon, not you, because that is a rare breed of human being, a dinner man. David Attenborough should be making documentaries about them. But nonetheless, thank you very much to the dinner man that sent this story in. And if there's other dinner men out there, if there's other teachers out there that have got a story to share, as ever, just drop me an email at staffroompod@gmail.com and I will turn it into an episode for you. But now that's all out the way, let's jump into this week's episode. This is me, Chris Washington, and I can't believe I'm saying this, a dinner man. Enjoy. You've been on like a bit of a podcast trail at the moment. I was checking out your Twitter earlier. You've been on like 6. Well, I've seen about 3 or 4.
Yeah, I did I'll just plug everyone else's now. I did the Line of Duty one. That was good fun.
Do you actually watch Line of Duty?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you not watch?
Well, I don't. But like the amount of people that go on about it.
I would. Yeah. I would have really struggled to be a guest on a podcast called Obsessed with Line of Duty if I didn't watch it. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair comment. Is it that good?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of them shows where you've probably got one of these, but if you tell someone to watch it and they go, "I've never seen it," you're actually jealous that they've never seen it because you wish you'd. Yeah, you know what I mean? You wish that you could have never seen it so you could enjoy it for the first time again. I'm sure that everyone's got one of those, like, I don't know. People say that a lot about Game of Thrones, but I've never seen it. Yeah,
again, that's one of them that I got onto on like series 4. And then by that point, I was like saying to other people, I can't believe it's taken me this long to get onto it. And it is great, Game of Thrones. But police dramas were never like... They were kind of snuffed at in my house because my dad was a detective, right? And he was just like, he said to me once with the bill, he was like, I don't watch any of this. He said, it's bollocks. No crime gets solved in an hour.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, so they just got written off from that point in our house. But,
yeah.
I imagine it's the same if you're a doctor and a nurse and you're watching like Alby City or something like that.
Yeah. Very good though.
Well, I'll have to give it a go. It's got Stephen Graham in it, right?
He is in one of the series, yeah.
And
but he's not the main character. It's really. I mean, without too many spoilers, it kind of changes series to series. They have like big names in it each series. Do you know what I mean? And someone will be in it, and it kind of focuses around that story, and then it moves on to the next one. Do you know what I mean?
Right, okay, so you don't have to watch them sequentially. You could just drop in at any point and get on it.
No, you do have to watch them sequentially.
Right, okay.
However, they do change, but the story is like there is like a theme running through. If you jumped in at 3, you'd enjoy it, but there would be references where you were like, "What the hell?" and then it would kind of spoil 2 and 1 for you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And But yeah, to be fair, I think I watched 2 before 1, but that was fine. But jumping in at series 5 when Stephen Graham's in it, you'd be a madman.
Well, about to say, if any advice for Game of Thrones, I would say start at season 1 because there's too much incest and backstabbing going on.
Any box set, I would say, start at series 1. Personally, do you know what I mean? Just to keep things neat and tidy, I think.
Did you kind of like binge anything over lockdown?
Peaky Blinders. I watched Peaky Blinders from the beginning to the end, but I'm not much of a binger, if I'm completely honest. I watched all of Eastbound and Down. I don't know if you've seen that, a comedy sitcom. Very funny.
What's his
Danny McBride.
Yeah, let the boy watch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very.
That's a very good impression.
Cheers, mate. I'm a man of many voices. I actually listen to. We're just talking about other people's podcasts here, but do you listen to WTF with Mark Maron?
No, I don't know who Mark Maron is.
American comic.
See, this is the thing. I have to admit at this point that I am a comedian, a professional comedian, and as I don't know any comedians, man. I've never heard of Mark Maron.
Someone was actually telling me about this. Didn't you have a joke in your Edinburgh show about how you are a comedian, but exactly that. You're not bothered about it.
Yeah, well, that's it. I've just never really watch it. It's not. I don't really like it. I don't really enjoy it. But each to their own, eh? Do you know what I mean?
That's hilarious. I might start being a Premier League football player. Be like, I don't mind doing the job, but I wouldn't watch Match of the Day at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly that. I enjoy watching people when I'm gigging. I talked about all this on another podcast recently. I don't want to keep thinking, but yeah, it was. I don't watch comedy. I don't watch stand up really. I watched the odd thing. I think I caught at the back end of a Lee Evans thing the other night. That really made me laugh.
Was it so?
I don't.
Well, I suppose I don't want to make it all about comedy, but what made you want to get into it if you weren't like a fan of it? Were you just a case of like funny lad at school and whatnot?
I wouldn't say I've always been strongly against it. I enjoyed, like I say, Peter Kay and watching them kind of one. I watched Top of the Tower and the Bolton Albert Halls one, but the top and bottom of it is I just like having a laugh, really. So I started doing comedy. I like telling funny stories and being around. I like just having a laugh. I like if something funny happens, I like sharing it with people. And if something funny happens to someone, I like hearing about it. So in that respect, you know what I mean? Like I do like funny people, but I just don't act. I've got loads of funny mates, so I don't need to watch stand-up. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair enough. Yeah. Well, I suppose the Mark Maron thing, he's an American comic who has a podcast called WTF, and Danny McBride is a guest on his show. He's had like President Obama when he was the president on it, like mad guests. But Danny McBride went on it, and it's well worth listening to because Danny McBride's just hilarious, but some of the stories that he talks about kind of before he got famous, I was absolutely pissing myself laughing because it's so true to the character that he plays in Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
So definitely get on that. But yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he is very, when people say typecast, he does often play a fucking dickhead, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He plays just like a total arsehole. And I think typecast is great. I'd love to have a, do you know what I mean? I'd love to be like the big dopey northern lad who's in stuff and be quite happy never playing James Bond. Do you know what I mean? I think it just shows that you're awesome at one thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. To be fair though, mate, I would love to see you as James Bond.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Yeah, he swaps in the Aston Martin. He's got a Vauxhall Zafira. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 40-inch waist trousers elasticated on his suit.
But then, mind you, when you were at school, then were you like known as the funny lad? Because it's been surprising the amount of guests I've had on that either weren't like the type of comedian they are now. They weren't like that at school at all. But were you always just like having a laugh with people?
Yeah, I would say, quite cliche, but I was probably the class clown. Got me in a lot of trouble. Just enjoyed. That's what I mean. I kind of really like school just for the crack of just being around my mates all the time and having a laugh and maybe not switching that off in the classroom. And that was probably played a big part in me only having 3 GCSEs, you know. So it's
you only got 3 in what?
Yeah, no, 3 A to C. I've got.
You've got less GCSEs than actual letters of GCSE.
I know, yeah. 2 in English and 1 in food tech. So we're all go.
Yeah, that's how did you only come out with 3? Did you just not do the others, or?
Well, no, I did them, but I failed them because I wasn't listening, because I was just, I don't know, I was just looking out the window and stuff. It's just, it was just, it isn't about, to be fair, for me, school wasn't that method of learning something, being sat down in a lesson and given a textbook and being asked to remember stuff and then remember it till you get an exam and then regurgitate it onto the exam paper. It just did it. I know it sounds like you do teaching and stuff, and you might get people who go, school's not for me, but it's genuinely not for some people, and it just wasn't for me. Do you know, I'm not academic at all. Oh well, I'm not. I can't learn in them situations, I don't think.
I know, I appreciate that, because most of the kids I work with are in the same boat as you were at school. So it's like, it's not necessarily massively alternative, but you've just got to adapt it to their needs, because you are right, school only does test like your recall ability and like how much you can remember for a specific day of a year to then just put down onto a test paper. So it is what it is, isn't it?
I think my results I came away with, if you looked at them on paper, you'd probably think I'm a lot less intelligent than I am. Do you know what I mean? But I get by in life. I'm not a complete spanner.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing though, because like, although you learn like the bus stop method in maths at school, I've never in my adult life gone, right, okay, how many tiles do we need for the bathroom and how big's the wall? Okay, let me just get my bus stop out and I'll figure this out, you know what I mean? It's just just whack my smartphone out and there you go, there's the answer.
And then that's it. It's not for everyone, is it, school? Do you know what I mean? It's you have to get through it, don't get me wrong. Like I turned up and stuff. I found a report the other day, actually, I was reading, I put it on my Twitter, and it was like saying, and it said like attendance to lessons, excellent. Turning up with equipment, excellent. Behaviour in class, and then it went from, there was like good, average, poor, very poor, and I went from excellent, top end, to very poor behaviour. Then it went to like something else, like I don't know, something academic, and it was like very poor, and it's like homework, and it was like average, because like maybe at home I was less distracted, I could do a bit of the work, but in terms of being there, I used to always get put on a table on my own, me, all the time, so easily distracted. That's the top and bottom of it. That's what he said on every report, easily distracted. And there was like one thing, and I just was like, my head wasn't in it, my head was in the, you know what I mean, like having a laugh and stuff, which was, looking back, it sets me up in good stead for this whole career.
Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly gone to waste, does it? When you're appearing on Addicted to Line of Duty. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but you never like a tear away. Then you were, you never told the teacher to fuck off, or like I can't imagine you being like that at all, really.
No, I wasn't. Like what I was, me, and I look back on this because my brother's a teacher, and I chatting to him about it. And
sorry, how old's your brother?
My brother's 2 years older. It's actually his birthday today. He's 34 today.
Oh, happy birthday! Big washer.
So yeah, so he's a teacher. He's like ahead of you. He does all right at it and stuff. And I was telling him about me. Totally different in school. He come out with good grades. He never got a detention. I used to get detentions and stuff. I was probably like, for a teacher, I wasn't there telling him to F off and throwing stuff around the classroom. I would get myself in trouble, maybe being a bit cheeky, but never like aggressive or like nasty. It was always just a bit like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, Chris, right? But I think for me, I was probably, for a lot of teachers, like very frustrating, because it's like looking at the kid who's, I had the ability, I am like, I'm not thick, I'm quite intelligent, I can hold a conversation, I can get on, my spelling was good and all them kind of things I can remember, but I just didn't enjoy. So it's more a frustration for teachers, and I see that now, and I see like, I could remember like a teacher, like I look back at teachers now who I thought were like, at the time I thought were, God, he's a bit of a knobhead, or she's a bit she's a bit of a fucking battle axe. And then I look back at it and go, no, they were totally right. I was just a tit, I was just a tit all the time. I was just messing about and it's frustrating to try and disrupting the class and stuff as well when they're trying to teach others. And, when you've got the lad kind of like, hey, what about that? Or, I remember being in a history lesson once. And I'll tell you about the other teacher. This Mr. Murray, the language teacher. And at the time, I thought, God, he's a bastard. Him. And I look back and I think, you know what? He was actually dead sound. I remember he helped me cheat on my oral French exams. You know what? He kept pausing it and giving me the answers and then pressing record again. So he was sound, and he got that angry at me once for being a little shit that he bollocked me in front of the class. I had a lot of bollockings, but he bollocked me. And he was that pissed off with me that, do you know when you're that angry and you start shouting at someone, but you're not even making sense because you're so angry.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said, someone wrote it down as like a quote in my my high school leavers book, which was actually just a maths exercise book. But the quote was, and he said, it's like having a 2-year-old in the class, having you in the class. With a 2-year-old in the class having you, and I was like, everyone was like, what's he on about? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, why is he was English, like I know he taught Spanish and French, but he's English first language, and he just wasn't making sense. But yeah, it just must have been frustrating, man, to teach me, because if I'd have ended up like like failing at life, then you go, there was probably times where people thought you're not going to fulfill your potential, because I'm not saying I was born to be a star, but I've obviously found something that I can do as a career which stimulates my brain a lot more, stand up and stuff, and that. But if I'd have ended up like I don't know, in a job I hated or out unemployed and unhappy, people would go, oh, you that's what was frustrating, because we saw that. But luckily, I was one of them who just managed to swerve around the outside and do all right after school.
That's decent, though. But that's what it's interesting, isn't it? Like the idea of looking back at your teachers and either going, I see what you mean there, and you're actually all right. Because my approach, whenever I'm working with someone, I'm never like very finger wagging and like loads of bollockings like that. Sometimes kids just want to have a laugh, and you just got to like have it with them. But everyone is different, you know what I mean? But then, mind you, when you did food set, then is that what led to you end up doing your work experience in a school canteen?
Yeah, I like the cooking and stuff. I decided I wanted to be a chef because I was working in a pub as a pot washer.
Oh, mate!
When I was like 14, and
that was my first job too.
Good job. Sets you up.
Did you peel potatoes as well?
I mean,
or just wash pots? Right.
No, peel potatoes, carrots.
Oh, mate,
I used to have to actually feed his dogs as well. The guy I had a list of tasks.
You had a few more duties than I did there. I just had
extracurricular,
yeah, potatoes and pots. Area manager of a sink. That was my role. Like, no one coming here.
But I did that, and I then started doing like bits, and then I went from peeling potatoes to making sandwiches, and then I was like, and then I said to the gaffer of the pub, I was like, I want to do cooking, like, can you train me up to be a chef? And then he was like, yeah. So I was then, from being 15, I was actually working like a lot of hours. This is probably another reason I failed my GCSEs. I was basically working full time as well. Do you know what I mean? I was working like every night, 6-7 hours a night. So it's like, you finish school, you go to work, and yeah. So I was doing that, and then when it came down to choosing your options for your work experience, I just put cooking, thinking, well, they'll probably just send me to the pub I work at and I'll get paid. I don't know what, but stupid me didn't set that up. Like, do you know what I mean? I should have I just assumed that would happen in my stupid, naive 15-year-old numpty brain. I was like, I'll just end up going to work for 2 weeks, quids in, £3.20 an hour. Who's laughing? And then it came back and it was like, oh yeah, you're going to be a dinner lady in a primary school. I was like, oh,
is it a primary school? I thought it was your school. I thought they put you in your own school.
No, it was a school down the road. It was the primary school down the road from my high school. I didn't attend that primary school. It was just a random school in the town.
That's hilarious. Mind you, though, would it be in a conflict of interest if you'd ended up in your school as a dinner man. You know what I mean? They're like, are you meant to be a work experience? Yeah, I am. And that's £4, thank you.
Yeah. I don't think I could have done it. I'm one of them is I go into that thinking, right, and even at that age, before I was a stand-up comedian, I was thinking materialist. Do you know, in a way, you're thinking like, I'll be a dinner lady because it's bound to be funny when I tell my mates about it, when they're all like, oh, I've been working for a plasterer cleaning his buckets for 2 weeks, or I've been sat in a freezing cold mechanic, in a garage or something, and I've been like, what have you been doing? Because I was like, I've actually been eating toast with a load of middle-aged women. Do you know what I mean? It's been absolutely mint. But yeah, so I went into it like, but if it was my school, mate, I mean, I just wouldn't have done it. I'd have just been like, nah, I can't do that. But just.
So what were your duties then when you were in this canteen? Like, I'm getting, because all women apart from you.
Yeah, all women. Yeah, all women have all like. Find a lot of them tend to be mums of kids of that school. I found.
Yeah, it's a weird demographic, dinner ladies, aren't they? Because they're kind of sacred, but at the same time, they'll just tell you as it is because they're only there for 2 hours of a day. So like places I've worked at, I've seen some that can be quite cutting, and I like that.
Yeah, I was like mainly cooking, but then I was like I was loaned out a couple of times to help with like the like overseeing the kids sitting in the right seats in the thing, and then there was one time where I went on the playground and I was like got a flavour of that, but mainly just the turkey twizzlers in the oven, man.
Oh mate, this is exactly why I wanted to get you on, right? Because everything you've just said there features within the story that's been sent to me. Okay,
perfect.
I actually know the person that sent me this, right? And you, I don't know if you will. I'm not going to say the name, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. You might know them. They're a comic. I'll put it that way, right? So they've done a bit of comedy in the time. And I've worked in a school, but yeah, I'll get cracking with it because everything you said there, I feel like you're going to have a lot of input on this. You'll be able to relate to it quite a bit. But yeah, I'll just point out, as I said to every guest, this is not like a parents' evening, so there might be some stuff in here that might leap out to you. So if it does, by all means, jump in. But yeah, you know what I mean. We're past the watershed, right? So. Hello, the staff room. Last year, I was strapped for cash, so when my recruitment agent told me a primary school 5 minutes walk from my house was looking for a new lunchtime supervisor, I jumped at the offer. Piece of piss, I thought. Standing around 2 hours a day, scranning unlimited turkey twizzlers. I can do that, no problem. So immediately I'm thinking, hey, it might be you, this.
Well, that was it. It was free dinner every day. And do you know what? Like, do you not remember primary school dinners being, for me, my memory of them, absolutely mint. Do you know what I mean? Loved them. So I was like, it was a chance to go, you go, oh, I wish I could go back to primary school and have that dinner. I was like, I did that. I fulfilled that dream. I could help myself to anything I wanted.
Yeah, I always preferred the puddings. I didn't mind if it was like mashed potato and mince, but like if it was chips and stuff like that, I'd always give it a slide. I was on packed lunches for years. Like, took me ages to get on a hot dinner. My packed lunch was just, like a couple of penguins, either jam sandwich, chocolate spread sandwich, crisps, and a yoghurt. Little Muller fruit, not a fruit corner one, the chocolate one. A lot of chocolate. That was my lunch, essentially. Yeah,
that's sweet. I remember someone saying, like, a bit of snobbery, actually. A dinner lady passing comment, because I used to take Nutella sandwiches, and she said, oh, does your mum... do you know what I mean? Does your mum make you chocolate spread sandwiches? And I was like, yeah. And then I'd be telling my mum in the car on the way home. She's like, that fucking bitch said what? Do you know what I mean? Like,
fronting up. Yeah.
Yeah, proper. But I mixed between it all the way through school. I'd do a few weeks on packed lunches. I didn't like the smell when you open your lunchbox, mate. You know that packed lunch smell?
Yeah, it was all right. Like, it was when you got home and you had to empty it. That's when I found it just took the breath away. And we had to do PE in the same hall that we had lunch in. And you'd be like doing handstands in Monster Munch and pulling what's out your toes. It was horrible. So if PE was in the afternoon, it was always like, is it inside? Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, you know what I mean? I weren't effing and jeffing. I was 6. What about when you were at school? Were Lunchables a thing, like Dairy Lee Lunchables?
Just coming into
It's the pomp.
I reckon. I don't know. I'm going to Google this now while we're on air. I reckon I was in primary school when they came out. I'm going to Google the origination.
What are you? 20, 29?
No, 32.
Oh, fucking hell. Right.
32. How old are you?
26.
How do I find out? Out when they were I mean, it's a bit of a niche search, that, and it date of birth for the Dairy Lunchables. But
well, while you're Googling that, I always thought of a Lunchable as being, it was like a kid's cheese ball.
No way, sorry, mate, but it's just said 1950. I think that's Dairy Lee.
Right.
Dairy Lee. Sorry, I've not found the Lunchables.
1950, black and white Lunchables. Wow.
Yeah, sorry. So you found it to be what? Sorry, mate, I interrupted you there.
I always thought, I never had Lunchables, okay. But when I saw other kids have them, I always thought that was like a very premium type lunch, because you were essentially having like a mini cheese board, you know what I mean? Bit of crackers,
yeah,
bit of circular ham. And I just always looked at it and thought, like, I'm a bit jealous that you've got that, but I was never supplied it. And my mum would sometimes put Dairy Lee Dunkers in, even though I said I didn't like them. But yeah, that's my packed lunch experience.
Yeah. I think that my experience with Lunchables was simply the idea of Lunchables was actually nicer than Lunchables. I'm not a bit like I mean, them little circle hams, they're not right. You shouldn't be eating. That's like
they're about a centimetre thick.
Yeah, exactly. That's worse. That makes Billy Burr look like you'd have it for Christmas. Do you know what I mean? Like Christmas dinner food.
Yeah.
I think I just the Lunchables weren't. I had them every now and again. Every time I had them, do this like quite a lot with certain foods. I always think, oh, wow. Yeah. I used to do it a lot with fish and chips from the chippy. I always thought, but I've done a U-turn on this recently. I used to think fish and chips from the chippy, the idea of it is a lot nicer than, and then I have it and I think, oh, a bit fed up of this. But do you know what it was? I was just going to a shite chippy. When you get a good fish and chips, it's absolutely tip top, and now crept back into my top 3 takeaways.
That's a subject that's close to your heart, takeaways, isn't it?
We'll be here all day. Let's move on from that.
Right, okay. Well, they said what is it? Yeah. So piece of piss, I thought, standing around all day, scranning unlimited turkey twizzlers, I can do that no problem. Especially because it was in a very middle-class school, in a very vegan area, the type of place where the kids have olives in their lunchbox, which is very high-end. On my first day...
Can I just say, I didn't know there was vegan areas. Did you know this?
Well, I've
been driving through a place and thought, they're a bit vegan around here.
It's when all the kids have got,
strange.
Book bags made of hemp. You know what I mean? You can spot them from a mile
off.
A
bit bohemian. Is that the right? I don't know if that's the right word, but like, hippie parents kind of thing.
Yeah, they do get a bad name, a bad rap, vegans. But no, I get what you mean, because I would describe some children in some schools as very organic, right? Like the idea that everything that goes through them is 100% organic, and they tend to have very wholesome names like Christian or Oliver or Jessica, and there's just an air of, we go skiing and on a beach holiday at least twice a year. So you know what I mean. I think that they've not actually specified where this school is, but I'm guessing somewhere down south. That's my indication of this. Either that or, somewhere like Chorlton. Right.
Sorry, carry on. A vegan area.
Yeah. So, on my first day, I was shown the canteen by the receptionist. I took a brief moment to take in the terrifying sight of hundreds of hungry children who all seemed to be staring at me with menace in their eyes. When I looked back over my shoulder, the receptionist was gone, and just like that, my shift had started. I was given no training, no briefing, and had zero experience of working with children, which is surprising if you've gone straight into a school, but you know what I mean? I imagine they've got a DBS check. But at the same time, I've never, ever, ever, ever seen, I've worked at quite a few schools, I've never seen a dinner man. So if I saw a man walk into the kitchen knowing that he was going to be like serving us, I wouldn't trust taking food off him, you know what I mean? It's like...
well... You know what? It's funny you should say that, because in my experience, the kids were looking at me like that. Do you know what I mean? They were like, "What is going on? Like, you've got the right haircut, but like all the rest of you're a man." Do you know what I mean? Like, what's this? Do you know, like people like because kids are so like funny, aren't they?
That's what I mean.
Like they don't hold back.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. It's just a role. It's like even Dinner Man doesn't sound right because it's a industry that's dominated by women that tend to be called Linda, Sharon, Karen, or Bev. Like that's it. That's it. If you've not got one of them names, you can't be a dinner lady.
No.
So the team dynamic was as such: 3 kitchen staff who all appeared to be elderly, but I always wondered if maybe the stressful job and the poor diet had just aged them. They were lovely, but proper tough working class women that didn't take any shit and usually barked, "What do you want?" when serving the kids. And going back to the point I've just made, I imagine all of them were called Debbie, Karen, Sharon, Linda, Bev, either one of them, you know what I mean? What were they called in your place?
You know what? I can't remember. I think, I do it on to talk about it on stage, and I always say Sharon and Karen because they just feel like the right names. But
did they accept you, or was it like
they
motherly?
were? You know what? They were lovely. Like they were mumsy type women. Like especially it's a 15-year-old school kid at the end of the day, and dinner ladies, like the cooks especially, they're all right. They don't have as short fuses as like the the ones on the front line. They were really nice. So they used to make me toast. That first time I tried Marmite was in that kitchen. It was like having toast. It was like, oh, I'm gonna have Marmite on toast. I said, oh, I've never tried Marmite. Oh, try a bit, love. Anyway, love it. So thanks to them. I'll never forget that moment.
I like that. Right, so me and the other lunchtime supervisor. Now, lunchtime supervisor was an official title, but canteen bitch would have been more appropriate. We mopped floors, cleaned tables, and cut up food, and made sure every child had eaten their dinner before leaving for the playground. It was like being a waiter in an incredibly busy restaurant, except it was common practice for the customers to burst into hysterical tears if they didn't enjoy their meal. Like clockwork, the kids would come charging into the canteen, pushing and shoving each other out of the way, trying to get to the front of the queue, each more desperate than the other to enjoy their carb-heavy, tasteless meal. But then, when I think of a school dinner, I always think of the puddings, and it was like apple crumble, anything in custard, really. You know what I mean? Because it could be the smallest slice of cake, but a gallon of custard, and that was fine. You almost wanted more custard than
pink
filling.
Custard as well. Do you remember pink custard in school?
Yeah, mate. But what are your thoughts on Angel Delight?
Love it, but didn't have it very much in school. But loved it. Like that Angel Delight for me as a kid was something I'd have if I went to my mate's house for tea. Like never had it in our house. Not for any. Mum wasn't against it or anything. I just never bought it. I don't know. And then it's like So, but no, a big fan. I used to love the sponge and custard. Me, oof.
Exactly, you can't
just
go
standard
wrong.
Custard, hot sponge. Love any hot cake with custard. Just works, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
custard goes with everything.
Magnet and steel, mate, just work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So my favourite job was to stand at the front of the queue. Now, was this something you had to do, like monitor the kids, or were you just bobbing around the kitchen and cleaning up tables and that?
Yeah, I think it was like I can remember one day being what is it? Like when they open the gates at fucking Glastonbury Festival or something, and it's like I'm trying to think of a good. Do you know what I mean? It was everyone just pouring through. Like everyone like waiting, and how kids are like stepping each other, stepping around. Hang on, I was with him. No, he stood, and hang on. Do you know what I mean? Like
getting a line.
I remember doing that once. Once you got, it's like a pack of wolves. If your job was to go and pull, it's like a big leather shutter. Do you have them in your school? It was like a pull it across, and then it was like in I say the sports hall, the assembly hall or whatever.
Like lunchtime is my least favourite time when I've ever worked at any school. It's just the least favourite because most of the time, because I'm working one-to-one with someone, I've got to be with them. You know what I mean? And you are like, it's like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan in that dinner hall. You just sat down and this kid's screaming, you know what I mean? It's just chaos. But I've never enjoyed it for the fact that I think kids' teams are going to a different gear. It's like, I don't know what it is, whether it's the custard in the air, there's like the bit feral, you know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't like that as a kid. I was quite, just have me sandwiches, out to go. Right. So my favourite job was to stand at the front of the queue and control the chaos as they pushed and shoved each other. I had one weapon in my arsenal, a simple but effective sentence: go to the back of the line. Jesus, was it effective? For a 7-year-old, being told to go to the back of the line was like being sentenced to the electric chair. They would break down screaming in tears the second the words left my mouth, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the power. It was beautiful to see. When they did that walk of shame to the back of the queue, I felt like yelling, "Yep, off you go, bye-bye. That's what you get when you cheat the system on my watch. Hope you enjoy your chips. They'll be freezing cold by the time you get served."
Hats off to whoever's wrote this. It's beautifully written piece there.
I actually mentioned on, I think it was episode 7 or something like that, with Callum Oakley. I was that desperate to try some jokes out during lockdown that actually I tried about 5 minutes material on a dinner lady at my school without her knowing that it was material. I just kind of slipped it in. And I've like written loads of jokes around how that went down, because it was great, but they're this like weird. But like what I kept thinking was, imagine if that was my target audience. You know what I mean? Like just dinner ladies, and then, you know, playing Hammersmith Apollo to 3,000 of them, and them all clapping, bingo wings going like mad, throwing the tabards on stage. But yeah, they're a strange group. But yeah, what was I up to? Yeah, enjoying chips. Freezing cold.
His bit was enjoy your chips. Yeah, freezing cold.
Right. Okay. The year twos were the worst, and some of them would launch jelly at the ceiling so hard that it would stick, meaning that I would have to stand on a table and knock it off with the end of a mop. As I ran around cleaning bits of food, it's quite impressive that for a 6-year-old to get that up on the ceiling, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, that feels like a McFlurry type spoon, you know what I mean, to get a bit of whip in it.
With us in school, it was just wet toilet paper in the toilet ceiling. That used to be the thing. But well, no one was giving up jelly around ours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mind you, though, when you ate jelly, did you use a spoon, or did you just go for the classic suck it in off the bowl? Yeah.
Yeah, suck it in. Yeah. So good.
Who can do it the fastest? Right.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, jelly, mate. It's almost like, because I wonder how much you could eat before you feel full. You know what I mean? Because when you think about it,
yeah,
it's nice, but it's not necessarily, it's not a meal. You know what I mean?
No, it's like a wobbly drink, really, isn't it?
That's exactly it. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. I'm not ice cream and jelly. I wouldn't have jelly on my own. You know what I mean? I think that's like a bit of a bridge too far.
Yeah, so what, jelly and ice cream? I've not had that for a long time. Probably the only time I've having jelly is like in a trifle these days.
Yeah. Mind you, though, my mum makes a terrible trifle, to the point that the last time she made one, she served it, everyone took a mouthful, she was inside, they threw all the balls of food that they had over the fence. As she came back out, we're like, that was great, that's Sue, absolutely smashing. From that point on, every time it's like, shall I make a trifle? They're like, do you know what, I don't think you'll top the last one you've made, so maybe just park it there.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, so as I ran around cleaning bits of food that they'd spat out, the whole year would hurl all kinds of verbal abuse at me. They were clever. Instead of swearing, which would have gotten them in trouble, they would shout things that they knew would make me feel uncomfortable, such as, "Daddy, Daddy, hello, Daddy," or "We can see your pants, we can see your pants." I used to think astrology was bollocks, but I now firmly believe that anyone born between September 2013 and August 2014 is a massive cunt. Favourite bit of this one. Right, the state they would leave the place in was unbelievable. It was like they were abstract artists, and the canteen and the staff were their canvases. A TA from each year group was meant to support the staff at the lunchtime supervisors, but they mainly ate chips, gossiped, and gave us dirty looks. And I can confirm that because I have to sit with all the TAs, and there's I don't know, there's a bit of a gap between a TA and a dinner lady. I'm always like all right with them because I've got to get the kids served up and that, but I've seen a few that can be a little bit shirty. But
what do you mean? In what sense?
Like, just and I mean this from a dinner lady, TA point of view, they can be a little bit snipey. Just like tend to look at them as like they're just dinner ladies. You know what I mean? But it's very few and far between. But I have seen it where I suppose you're going to get knobheads everywhere. But they're like the members of staff, aren't they? Sometimes I think the kids can just forget the fact, like, oh, you're my mate's mum or whatever, so I don't have to listen to you. But I think if anything, I'd be more scared of a dinner lady because a few of them look like.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I know I'd back in a fight, and it wouldn't be the bloody TAs. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, mate, yeah. A few of them could have been like bare knuckle boxing champions. Just
easy.
Because my thought is, if you're doing that 2 hours a day, what are you doing for the rest of the day? Are you bench pressing in your garage when you get home? What's shadow boxing? What's the deal?
Deadlifts.
Yeah.
Atlas stones in the back garden.
But yeah, so towards the end of one shift, a TA shouted me over, "Sir," which is teacher code for "I haven't been bothered to learn your name. We need you. There's been a spillage in the queue." Quick as a flash, I got over to the spillage. "Get back," I screamed at the children waiting in the line. I got stuck in, and within minutes, the huge puddle was no more. The whole time, the TA just stood there watching me. And when I was done, instead of thanking me, she bluntly said, "Don't reuse that cloth. It's piss." I didn't plan to work in a school for as long as I did, because by this point I'd been doing stand-up for 3 years and very much hoped that by this point in my career I'd be doing live at the Apollo. Nope. Instead, there I was on my knees, unconsensually cleaning up urine for bare minimum wage. I like the fact that everyone remembers the dinner ladies from school, but in 10 years' time, when these kids look back, they'll say, "We didn't have a dinner lady in our school, we had a dinner man, and he was a proper weirdo. He used to send us to the back of the line just for fun, and you could tell he proper got a kick out of it." And that is the end of their story. It's good, isn't it?
That is very good. Beautifully written, and a few moments that really hit home, and he's done it as like a job, though, to make money. That's mad. Fair play, but I just did it because I got 2 weeks off school and I could finish at 1 o'clock, do you know?
Yeah, mate, that's exactly it. Well, did you, mind you, though, like if you could go back into a school, would you be a teacher or would you be a dinner man?
You know what? I'd be a teacher. I think I'd be an all right teacher because, I wouldn't, I'd have to start like my year 9 SATs and work my way back up to a PGCE. But I think I quite like speak like kids. I find them, I think it's they're the future, aren't they? Children of the future, as they say in as they say in the song.
In just all songs about the future and hope.
It's a difficult time to be a teacher, though. Sorry to interrupt you, Harry, but teacher, like, fuck it, for now, like, some of the shit my brother tells me, like, he's sorting out fucking people threatening each other on Instagram and Snapchat, and it's like, this is a totally different world to what I was, brought up in. And my brother's like, one girl's said to another girl, "Go and kill yourself" on Snapchat, and then I've had to bring her mum in, and then her mum's saying she's no good, and my brother's like a police officer who's like, he just lets the mother like say how good the kid is, and then just hands over like four printouts from this girl's screenshots, and he's like,
"Yeah, we've got her on a wiretap, mate."
All right, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just must be difficult, man, to be a teacher now with all the distractions of the world, and obviously like the kind of things kids are seeing now, and what the like, what they're influenced by. It must be mad.
I think more so now, and it was different between me and you because you were a few years ahead of me. But when I was in secondary school, like smartphones were coming in. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of people had them. But like I think more so now, kids have less time to be kids because of what you're seeing and what you're able to do. And like the idea that Poppy was showing me something yesterday, these apps that you can take a picture on and then like totally morph your face or your body into something entirely different. So like a 15-year-old could look like a 23-year-old, you know what I mean? And how that just causes so many problems. But I think because of stuff like that and loads of other reasons around like social media and whatnot, that kids are given far less time to be kids. And, the idea of going through adolescence, if you say something and you say it to your mate, but if you say it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, something like that, it's just there, innit? And it doesn't matter if you take it down, someone's got a screenshot and it's like, "You said this when you were 14. It's like, fucking hell, mate. If someone got hold of what I said when I was 14,
Oh man, I'm glad I was in school. Mobile phones was like kids having phones was just coming in when I was in school. Like when I started high school was like an age where you'd see a teenager with a phone, because before that it was just adults had phones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but was this like a Nokia 3310 or something?
Yeah, 3210 I had.
3210, right? Okay.
But then by my last year in high school, camera phones was a thing, and Bluetooth. A lot of in my year had a phone with Bluetooth. That was it. Do you know what I mean? But that
when I think of Bluetooth, right? I don't know if you ever did this. We used to send songs, but put the phones back to back. It'd be like makes it go quicker.
Yeah,
If they're touching, it'll work faster.
I remember that video, watching it on my mate's phone in 5th year at school, and I was in stitches, and it was that video. You've probably seen it, where it's a lad in a tractor racing his dad. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Fucking done
He's
it.
Gonna have my pants. Yeah. He's gonna have my fucking pants down. And I watched that. That came out around when I was in the. Remember watching that in school and it being hilarious, man. But
that's like
it was all. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just because that's like early day viral stuff. Because now, like, things can just bang the viral, but things like that where they were getting sent around, and you'd almost have like a bit of a folder full of stuff going, check this one out. Oh, I've not seen that one. Send me it. But yeah, I remember that one.
It's like early days of like what Instagram. Do you know what I mean? It's like that folder now is Archbishop of Banterbury on Instagram. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's like a folder in someone's phone years ago, do you know, of all mad stuff you've got. And it just used to be like shit. It's mad. It's such a crazy thing when you think about it. Spoiled rotten as well. Like, you know, it's nothing's like, God, I sound like a proper granddad, but like it's all, everything's too easy with a phone, isn't it now? Everything's like, do you know, like, I know it sounds like stupid, but I used to like, and you know, I sound like I'm not trying to be older than I am, but I used to go like in school. Right, what we'd do is we'd go to school all week, and then we'd say we're going to go Wigan on the weekend. And Wigan, from where we live, is like a bus journey for like 40 minutes, or you know, on the bus. And and you'd tell your mate what time bus you were getting, because he was getting on at like 8 stops away. And then like you'd go to Wigan, or you'd say I'll meet you in Wigan, and you get there, and if your mate weren't there,
you were in Wigan.
You just go home. You're in Wigan, you go round on your own and you go home, and he's like, oh, then you'd find out on Monday why he wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? In school. And it's like, that was it. And now it weren't like, oh, I'll ring me and I'll think. It was just like, it was so different. You just used to trot off with your £3 and just have a, you know, and that's what it was like, you know, and our dads and stuff was even more old school than that, you know, but yeah, it was good. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I'm glad I grew up in the time I did, because some of the things like we got up to and stuff, you know, like I'm not saying anything, but like, you know, just messing about and stuff. It was just innocent, and like, you know, it was just real, like proper good old fun for the sake of it, not for the Instagram video, not for the, you know what I mean? It was just us having fun in the moment, you know, and I think that's really good about that kind of time.
No, I totally get what you mean. But then kind of with what you, because obviously the school that your brother works in and the role that he does, does he have to deal with like a lot of welfare issues then? That, you know, like you're saying there about incidents with bullying or stuff that happens outside of school? Or is it like, is it a decent school where he is, or is it a bit?
Yeah, it's a decent school. Like I think it's an all-girls school. I don't know if it's mixed now, but he's I think he was like acting head of year as well, so he had to deal with a lot of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like when you get sent.
I got told, right, and you think of this as like from a teacher's point of view, right? So a teacher went to go and break a fight up in a corridor, and I think it was in between two boys. It could be 2 boys or 2 girls, but like proper decking each other. I think if it's 2 girls, it's probably far more vicious, because like girls, when they go at it, can be like pulling hair, scratching and all that. But this teacher went to go and break it up, and dress was pulled all the way down, like completely. Everything you could see that was available to see was out in the corridor, and loads of kids being around. And I think like that being, I can't ever imagine that happening when I was at school, ever. Like, you know, someone doing that. No. But then to have to go back to work and face that, it's just like, oh my God, I can't. So
do you know what it is? Oh, sorry, because there's videos of people doing things on the internet, right? And they're not there's no fear from people. There's no, like people have filmed. They go, oh, there's a video. There's no one going to jet. There's no fear of anything anymore, because that's why everyone's a cunt to a policeman. I hate using that word. I apologize, but that's why people are really disrespectful to the police, and they film them on the phones and stuff. And you think, who would want to be a policeman in this day and age? Because you've got some 12-year-old kid with his smartphone calling you a pig, and the truth is they probably can't do anything. They can't arrest you for that, but kids know this now, and they just get grief. And whereas when we were kids, if you saw a policeman, it was like, even if you weren't doing anything, you'd shit yourself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I remember this was when we first moved to this house, and like it was known that my dad was a copper, and we were walking across the park to go to the pub, like my family, and these lads that were hanging around at the swings, must have been about 4 or 5 of them, maybe 12, 13 or whatever, all started making piggy sounds. And my dad's like a pretty intimidating guy. He's lovely when you meet him, but like he can be fucking scary. And he just snapped, turns around to these lads, and he was like, I know your name, I know your name, I know your name. And they're all just looking at him, and he went, I know you live as well. And he said, I don't want to hear any more of this shit coming out your mouth. And they just, from that point on, whenever they saw me, they're like, all right, how are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's
wouldn't happen now though. They just film him and call him a pedo, and then he'd try and get him sacked or something, because that's the world's on its arse. But that's another podcast. I apologise.
But then I suppose, because I've been trying to, like, just with the stories, teacher or the student, right? So whose side are you feeling on here? Right or wrong? Personally, for myself, I think because I don't like dinner times at school, I'm going with the dinner man on this, because kids are savages when it comes to, packed lunch and a bit of custard. So that's my feelings.
Yeah. And obviously I have to go with the dinner man. Because you've got to stick with your own, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Once a tab hard, always a tab hard.
Exactly. Cut me in a bleed pink custard, man.
But no, it is interesting schools though. But then I suppose if you were going to go back and teach, what would you do?
I think I'd teach primary, because I don't think I'd be able to handle getting called a pedo by someone while they film me. Do you know what I mean? I think at an age where you can, I don't know actually, I'd probably teach English, or like there's probably a lesson for like, what lesson is it? Was preparing people for the real world. There's got to be a lesson of, like some kind of like, something like, I don't know, is it PSA? Something where you can just kind of be honest with children and give them a level of expectancy, because like I say, once again, without getting too serious, but I think in schools and stuff, I think there needs to be a real kind of thing. What's taught by that this isn't those things you see on the internet of Instagram, Snapchat, filters, blah blah blah, Kardashian. I'm just saying all these things what are so super famous and kids look at and aspire to be isn't real. And that isn't, I'm not saying don't want to be an influencer. If that's what you want to do, fine. That is a career. I'm not accepting that influencer isn't, there's people now going, kids want to be influencers. Wasn't a job. It is a job. Fact. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
However, it's not the only job.
Yeah.
And it's a big world out there. And I think there's other things, and there's things you can see and you shouldn't. I think everyone's just kind of, so long and short is I'd love to be a teacher, maybe just an English teacher who wasn't one of them who's actually like speaks to people, like
talks to them rather than at them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
They do like that. More so now. When I think of ICT in school, right? My ICT sessions were we had to bring an item in from home and then sell it on eBay, and it was like a fundraiser for the school, right? So that was like learning how to use eBay. That was like ICT. That and spreadsheets. I still can't get my head around Excel.
How old are you, Harry? By the way, how old are you?
26. You've asked me this.
20. Sorry, I know. Yeah, I know. But when you say that, it makes me feel so old that was something you did in IT, like.
Mate, I did the Beatles in history. Can you believe that? The fucking Beatles.
Yeah.
I remember going home. My dad was like, what are you doing in school? And I told him, and he was like, the fucking Beatles. I was like, yeah. I'll get you the record, Harry. Like, it's... Never mind the tune.
Yeah, man.
Let me tell you, who wrote Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. Wow. Sorry. What? I think I interrupted you there.
I was just more so now. I've noticed when I've worked in schools, ICT sessions. They tend to do like basic things of coding, right? Which I think's great because, like apps and all the rest of it do need coders in the future. But they cover a huge amount on like online safety. Now, this is where my little bugbear is with it, right? Because I'm all for keeping kids safe, but I do think that watering things down to the point where they're not taking that seriously doesn't do anyone any favours, and it's a complete waste of time for the kids and everyone else involved, right? So, for instance, they were talking about like if you put your details online, whether it be on a TikTok or something like that. Simple thing of do a TikTok in your school jumper. Whoever sees that can see where the school is and find you, right? Okay. And they were told, and the people that might find you might just have bad intentions. And that can be a million different things, you know what I mean? But like bad intentions, I thought, fucking hell, like if you're going to tell them that, should we do a session next week on how to chew through duct tape? You know what I mean? It's like, just be honest with them, you know what I mean? And it's like, they did first aid recently in the place I'm at, and they were talking to the kids about like some things that they need to know for first aid, or just like if they're in a situation where they're in danger. And one of the teachers said, what if you were, say, being kidnapped, right? And one of the kids was like, why would we be kidnapped? And I was like, well, because you're kind of in that age range where you're vulnerable, right? So like the idea of trying to bundle me in the back of a car is harder than it is a 10-year-old. And they were kind of like, looked at me a bit like, all right. And I was like, because, you're going to grow out of it, but at the moment you're prime real estate. So just have your wits about you. Instead of saying people. It's like if a stranger approaches you going, hang on a minute, if you've got bad intentions, it's like, just use your common sense. I just think being open and honest with kids isn't a bad thing. Like I got told very early on that there's people out there who find kids very sexy. And I had to then, go like, all right, okay. Because I think that makes more sense than just saying people have bad intentions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Because like, if you said to a kid, if an adult said to a kid, I don't think some kids would understand what sexy means. You know what I mean? But then, if you would rather explain that to a kid as a parent than them bump into some oddball who says, I find you sexy, and the kid's like, what do you mean? And they're like, let me show you, right? And it's probably better if I do a hands-on practical, you know what I mean? I just think, just be open with the kids and tell them with the dangers that are out there, rather than, getting them into a sticky situation.
I get what you mean, yeah. But, as I say, going back to the things, all that, when I did ICT at school, I think it was called IT and then ICT by the end, and it was just fucking spreadsheets, man. Yeah, just make a spreadsheet. And then someone would try and go to the corner of Excel, right to the bottom,
the edge of the map.
Yeah. I remember like going on computers in school that didn't have the internet. And have you heard of Encarta?
No.
The encyclopedia. It's just like basically. It's just a huge encyclopedia program called Encarta, and all the school computers on it on. So it was basically like if you wanted to research something before Google, you was going on Encarta, and it wasn't internet. It was a program which was like a massive encyclopedia, and you could just search something on it. It was basically like shit internet. Do you know what I mean? And searching like random things on there, and just like searching, I don't know, nipple on it, and then reading about nipple, and everyone pissing themselves laughing at the word nipple. Do you know what I mean? It was like, God, it's such a different time.
But did you have any like lessons you actually enjoyed at school? You know what I mean, like standouts, or was it all just I'll just do these and get on with it?
Probably English, because I got 2 B's in English. It was all right that, because I think you could have. What I liked about that was it wasn't always remember something. It was like your understanding of that and your interpretation of a certain thing, and so what did you think about? Yeah. What did you think about? This part of Lord of the Flies, and you'd say what you thought about it, and that's probably what I'm quite good at, is articulating my thoughts on a certain thing and my viewpoint, which
that's handy when you're a stand-up, isn't it? Yeah,
really,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that was maybe why I was better at English, I would say, and I've always been semi. I've been able to not great at maths and stuff, but I'm not very good at reading, although, so that's probably bad. I'm very, very slow reader, but yeah, English was all right. I wasn't bad at that because it was a class doing the reading, so I could just keep up with their pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like me and you are very similar in that sense, because I was shite. Yeah. I only got into reading when I was like 24 or something like that. But then when you write stand up, do you write like longhand with it, or do you just go off notes and then write on stage?
Yeah, that second one, I just go off notes, just have like a note in my phone, and I'll just talk about it.
Ah, fair enough. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because at least.
Why do you do
that? A bit of a mix. I'll write the joke out. I might not say it word for word, but I'll have the joke there, and then I might think of an afterthought to that joke. So, like where I said to you about doing 5 minutes material to a dinner lady, the idea of playing to an audience of 3,000 of them is funny. So then, like, what else would that look like? You know. So however that comes out on stage, I don't know, but I've at least made like an idea in a pad of what I think is funny about it. And 9 times out of 10, when you do it for the first time or the second time, the thing that you can't get down on paper just pops up in thin air, and it's just there in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that's right. I don't know really.
There's no blueprint.
No, you just do what works. I'm definitely not one for writing. I tried it at the beginning. I thought, do people write? I'll sit and write. And you go, I couldn't even write the stuff I'd had for years because I didn't even. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you think, the way I always think about it is, if you're telling someone a funny story, I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'm going to tell it to someone else. But there'll probably be variations on words and phrases and turns of phrase and then you just find the one that works and you start using that a bit more. And that's just what it is, really. But some people literally write a script, learn a script, and do it like a script on stage, which is totally fine as well. Do you know, there's no right or wrong, is there?
I died on my ass this was maybe the first 12 months of going, really bad, like in Liverpool. And I got described as a hologram on stage, like to the point where silence in the room, and at the end I was like, "You guys have been great," you know what I mean? Left the room, and afterwards it was Ro who said to me, he was emceeing it, he was like, "Mate, you were so not present in that room," and because I'd written a set that was 5 minutes of lukewarm jokes and remembered how lukewarm they were, and then just kept going and didn't deviate from it. So when I was dying on my ass, I just didn't know how to deal with going off script at all. It was just, I have to stick to this, and that's that. Yeah. So yeah,
that's hard though, man. That's part of learning, because you know, when you die, when you do comedy and you're quite new, you don't have the skills to get yourself out of dying, so you're just dying. It's like drowning. Do you know what I mean? It's like fucking. It's like not being able to swim and someone's popped your armbands. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, this is all I've got, so I'm just going to carry on trying to swim. But it's like,
they'll pull me body out.
Do you know? And that's all I've got. I always used to make me laugh. Like, I know we're slightly off topic here, but when you turn up at gigs and like you'd see like a comic who was like headliner or closer or whatever you want to say, and they'd be like, they'd turn up and they'd be like, what they like, and they'd be like, the MC, the compere, be like, oh yeah, they're all right. Like, what kind of stuff they're going for? Like dirty stuff, or they're liking. And then they go, oh, they're quite, they're liking a bit of filth, and and then they're going, right, okay. And have anyone done anything about the Brexit, or like, no. And then you go, has anyone spoke to? And I always used to think, when I'd witnessed this conversation, I just turn up and think, well, what they like, and I think, well, they're just getting these jokes I've got because I've got fuck all else. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. So whether they're going for this or they're going for that, I don't have any alternatives. So they're getting what I've got until I run out of it. And then when that's gone, I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. And it's totally just like learning on the job. And then you get to a point where you don't even think about what you're going to say. You think about how you're going to start and then just go into some other bits, which is nice and free, which is what I like.
Yeah. I suppose as well that, like, because someone said to me once, you don't ever stop dying, but the gaps between your deaths become huge. You know what I mean? Because you can always have a gig where you're like, they're just not going for this. But yeah, that one sticks in the mind for me. But But mind you, I've not gigged in a fucking year and a half, so I've not died since then. It would have been awful if I died in front of that dinner lady, mate. She was just looking at me like, what the fuck are you going on about? I've just played it off like these are just thoughts, you know what I mean? They're casual.
Yeah. And then like ticking and crossing them as you're talking to on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Any reason why you've got a stool here, Harry? Yeah, never mind that, shall we?
Yeah.
Is this your husband? How long you been together?
I think that's a good place to end it, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there anywhere you want people to come and find you? Because I'll put all your tags in and stuff like that. I don't think you want to hype.
No, I'm bloody rubbish at this stuff like this. Just enjoy your lives. Don't get concerned with mine. If you want to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @ChrisWash_. If you don't, I'm absolutely fine with that as well. Yeah.
No,
concentrate on yourselves. Don't worry about me.
All right, Sam. Well, I appreciate you coming on this. It's been good fun.
All right, mate. Nice one. Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. Hopefully, I'll see you around at a gig soon enough.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
See you soon.
Take it easy, pal. I'm genuinely interested to know, after hearing that, if anyone had a dinner man at their school, because they were all women in my school, right? And I feel like if they're out there, they're hiding, they're not getting the airtime that the normal dinner ladies are getting. So, you know, if you've got a dinner man, please do get in touch with me on social media, because I want to. If you can get a picture, it sounds a bit creepy, but that'd be even better, because I know what Chris looks like, and obviously the person that sent me this story, I said I knew them too, so I know what they look like, but I can't picture what a Werther's original dinner man would look like. I just can't picture it in my head, you know. I see someone that, you know, might be interested in car boots, but that's just me gut telling me something. I don't know if to believe it. But yeah, if you've had a dinner man, please do let me know. As ever, I want to say thank you very much to everyone that has been listening, because the podcast is now in the thousands with the downloads. And yeah, that's great, because it's whatever you guys are doing to help spread the word. It's definitely working. So please do keep that up. I don't know if you're sharing it about online or just telling your mates. It seems as if most people tend to listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I've seen, you know, I keep seeing a little few 5-star reviews popping up there every now and then. You know, if you're enjoying the podcast, we're on 11 episodes now. So if you're 11 episodes in and you're going, do you know what this meant for me? I would say stop right now, but I appreciate your dedication thus far. But if you're enjoying it, you know, please do leave us a 5-star and a little comment, you know, a little nice, whatever you want to put. It goes a long way and it all helps. That's what I'm trying to say. So I appreciate the support, but anything you can do to help spread the word, especially as well if you know a teacher. I'm really trying to like sieve out some more teachers for future episodes. So if you do know a teacher, please do send them my way and tell them about the podcast. You know what I mean? They'll prefer it coming from you than me shouting about it on Twitter. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that's been listening and downloading, because it's been great and I'm really enjoy doing them, making them. Next week, I've got Brennan Reese, who, I was going to have for this week, but because I was ill, I had all switched around. But next week, I've got Brennan Reese, who's a fantastic comedian. He's been on Live at the Apollo. He's done loads of stuff. And the story that we're going over has come in from a teacher, an RE teacher, about quite an awkward situation within their lesson. But more on that next week. So until then, look after yourselves, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, and take it easy. The Staff Room Podcast is produced by me, Harry Stachini, artwork by Poppy Spinks, and the soundtrack by James McGraw.